Jazzcast Pros.
So, you want to open a restaurant, but you have no money, no investors, and no clear path to start. Then you need to hear this. This week on Elevating Enterprise, we're sharing the real story behind Create a Pizza, the last fast casual pizza shop still standing in Rochester, New York. Co-owner Katelyn and John started her pizza career at Domino's in college and built her skills working in local mom and pop shops. With hands-on experience and a key connection to a former boss turned business partner, she opened her own shop, bought out her investor, and never looked back. She and her fiance John have kept the business alive through a pandemic, rising rent, zoning restrictions, and delivery platform fees, all while raising a young family and showing up every single day to make pizza from scratch. So if you're serious about turning your restaurant dream into a real, sustainable business, this episode is your starting point. Let's get to it. Welcome to Elevating Enterprise, the podcast that gives you a 100,000-foot view of success.
So you can see exactly what it takes to grow and sustain your business. I'm RJ Williams, and I've spent years working with SMEs, scaling operations and securing contracts.
And I'm Jazzy T, and our mission is to connect you to industry gatekeepers and open doors that will elevate your small business. Katelyn, tell us who you are and what you do in 60 seconds or less.
I'm Katelyn, and I and my fiance John are owners of Create a Pizza. We make pizza from scratch. Everything's made in-house, from sauce to cheese, the dough, everything. And we make it super fast. We give you all the options. We've got the gluten-free options. We've got vegan stuff. We've got a little bit of something for everybody, because everyone deserves to eat good pizza. We are at 766 Monroe Avenue.
Excellent. Yeah, we are actually live on location right now, right across the street from the Speedway. So I have to know, what sparked this idea? Have you always been pizza makers?
So I started making pizzas when I was in college at Domino's, because I was a starving artist, and, you got free food there, basically. So I started making pizzas, found out I was pretty good at it, and went around to mom and pop shops around Rochester, learning as much as I can about it. And then when I got pregnant, I decided we needed to do something for us to build that foundation, stop putting someone else's kids through college and start building our own kids' college fund. So we started looking into it.
That's definitely a stressful time to start a business while you're also starting a family. So John, can you tell us a little bit more, what your first thoughts were when she came to you with this idea?
My first thoughts were, this is kind of crazy. We got a newborn baby and have a restaurant, a brand new restaurant at the same time. And I do landscaping. I have no experience in pizza at all. So I was just trying to be as supportive as I could.
So how long have you guys been in business here?
6 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So 6 years, obviously there's a lot of moving parts in this type of business. So, how did you do it? What were some of the steps? Because this, what we want to do on Elevating Enterprise is kind of showcase businesses that are successful and have went through the journey. And so people can see that people are, some people's dream is to own a pizza shop. Hey, I got the best recipe, but they never get started. But you guys got started. You said you weren't even in the pizza business, and somehow you have a shop here, and I know a lot of people like to come here and order this pizza. So what made you stay in there?
So when we first started, I had a business partner to get things going. Obviously, being pregnant and having a newborn, I wasn't able to be super hands-on right off the bat. So my business partner has a lot of different businesses around Rochester. I actually used to work for him, and then we became partners to open this. And after our first year, I bought him out, and it became just ours. And while the ink was still drying on all the contracts, COVID started. So our safety net was gone from my business partner, and we just decided we're in it now. We have to keep going. We have to find a way to keep going. So we got rid of all of our employees, and John became the best pizza maker I have ever trained.
So I want to get back to, you have the idea, you start making some recipes, and how do you go about, like, what are the first steps that someone needs to take in order to secure a venue? Because brick and mortar is much different than offering services or being virtual and things like that. So what are some of the first steps that had to be achieved, even if it was from your partner who did it? But what did you have to do first? I'm talking like licenses or, health and safety codes, like that type of stuff.
So yeah, most of that, my business partner was kind of the head man in, but it's making sure you have proper licensing, your permits are right. So like the zoning is really big. Like there's buildings everywhere, but they're not zoned for what you want to use it for. One of the things that we went up against was that this space was zoned for takeout only. That's why our dining room is so small. So we are allowed to have like 12 seats, and that's about it to be able to stay compliant. So, rather than this building has a ton of space. We could have opened it up and had a nice big dining room, but because of that zoning, we weren't able to do that. So fast casual it's kind of like, Subway style is or like Chipotle, Moe's. It's quick. You get to kind of see everything as it's happening, which I think a lot of people like. That was probably one of our biggest pluses during COVID, because, you've got to be able to trust the people making your food. And when you can't see what they're doing, it's hard to trust them. So we're right out in front of you. You get to see every move I make. And then it goes in an 800-degree oven. Like, that's all you can ask for during COVID when you want your food to be safe. Yeah. So that was a big plus for us. So this location used to be a Pizza Hut. So it already had a hood vent and the big coolers that we needed, and basically the setup that we would need to be able to do pizza. So the amount of things that had to be added to the building were minimal. We did a little bit of expanding. We opened up the ceiling and, moved the bathroom around a little bit. But other than that, it was, the equipment-wise, we had a lot of what we needed already, which saved a ton. Because if you're starting from scratch, you need walk-in coolers, and the hood vent alone is like thousands and thousands of dollars to put in. So just having that there already was a big plus.
What would you say for someone who just wants to start out, who didn't have a partner who was experienced to do most of those things? Right. What do you say to a person who has a dream but doesn't have the relationship to kind of do what you guys did? Because it sounds like you, Katelyn, knew what you wanted. Yeah. And then you talked to the right people who saw your vision and, say, hey, I want to see that grow. What do you think got you guys over that hump?
If you want to get in any type of business, you got to get next to people who do that business. That's pretty much what Katelyn did, not on purpose, but just was in the right spot. She has a great work ethic, and her business partner saw that. And sweat equity is worth a lot. People don't realize that. They think they just got to have money. But when you're putting in a lot of work, you grinding and you're working on your craft, somebody's going to see it. And that's really what happened. She was just in the right spot and received that, we say blessings, but just was able to take on the business and know how to handle it because she put in that sweat equity. So he couldn't just pick anybody off the street and start this business with. But he saw she had the will, the drive to get up, to come to work every day, not receive a paycheck for years. You know what I mean? At least 6 years in, we still don't receive a paycheck. And he saw that in her way back, when she first started. And I think that's part of how you do start a business is you got to put in that grind. You got to get around people who do what you want to do. And that's the beginning step right there. Yeah. Then you find out all about the licensing and the food certifications, taxes, and building locations and stuff like that, knowing what type of traffic is going down the street at what times. We know we got 3 million plus cars running by here. That's why we have advertising on top of our building. You know what I mean? I would never know anything like that if we didn't get into the restaurant business. You just, once you get into it, you'll find stuff out just being around it.
That's exactly, why we're doing this show. We want to hear, oops, I'm sorry. That's exactly why we're doing this show. We want to hear the real, so people can understand it as real people doing this.
Right. A lot of what you need to do to be prepared is do the research, talk to people, look online. There's all sorts of resources from SBA websites to, just talking to people who are in the industry you want to be in. A lot of people are willing to give that information if you genuinely want to learn about it. So, get yourself in those positions around those people who can help elevate you. That's the number one thing. And, if you're not sure, ask. You're never going to find out if you don't ask the question.
So I have a follow-up on that. John, I loved how you said you have to get in it and you have to start doing it to find out what you don't know, because you don't know what you don't know. So now that we're 6 years in, what's one thing, Katelyn, that you wish someone would have told you when you were first getting started?
That's a great question. So many things.
Give us a couple of them.
So many.
It's fine. It could even be like how hard it was going to be, how much money it's going to cost.
Yeah, the money at the end of the day, it's like as soon as you think you've got it, you're in a good place, something's going to happen. Whether it's a cooler goes down or a new bill pops up or your distributor now doesn't carry the thing that the one thing that you need from them, and you have to work around and find a different way to do it. Like, those are all little things that if you let them get to you, you won't be able to make it. You have to be able to just solve this problem and move on to the next one. And there's a lot of resilience there. There's a lot of hard days that go into it, and there's no one to call into. You can't call in and say, I just need a day today, because otherwise it doesn't get done. So there's some things you can outsource to make things easier for you, but at the end of the day, it's all on your shoulders. You are the decision maker. You have to be willing to make the big decisions.
It makes a lot of sense. You have to have that resiliency because things ebb and flow. And it's not always, great times, it's challenges that you have to be, able to manage. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear that. See, this is how you got to get out and learn why people are doing things, and I'm glad we're having this conversation. Aren't you, Jazz?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, this is a brick and mortar space, Do you rent this place or did you buy it?
We're renting.
Okay, so for folks that are trying to get their first brick and mortar space, what should they know about negotiating a commercial lease?
So we're on a 5-year lease, and we just re-signed because we're now in our 6th year. So we didn't have a whole lot of wiggle room for negotiating. At least I didn't feel confident in that because the previous lease did have set terms for the next 5 years going forward. So I didn't know really if I had that ability to negotiate or if it was just kind of these were the terms that were already agreed upon. So this is what we're going to keep going with. But I do feel that at the end of this year, I do need to talk to the landlord and figure some things out because just Monroe Ave is constantly going, it's not going up in value right now. So for me to be paying more for a space that's going down in value the way that a lot of people are seeing it doesn't make sense. So I do think that that's a conversation that needs to be had, but I'm not ready to have it yet. Still working on the finer terms of that.
So you did mention the location once again. You are steps away from the highway, which I imagine could be a good thing, but maybe not such a good thing because are people just trying to get on and off the highway and to their other destination and kind of flying by? Or what has been your experience being closer to 490?
All right. So being next to the highway is a blessing. A lot of cars get off and on. It's easy access to us to get here. A lot of people love that. And we have a parking lot. So that helps out a lot too. So you're not just on street parking. But that does bring a lot of cars this way. So location is key. Location is definitely the one thing you want to focus on when you get into commercial real estate. You want your business where a lot of cars are going to go by. You want to have bright lights. Certain lights for the type of business you do will attract people. We had a inflatable tube man for like a year, just bringing attention to wherever your business is. And we couldn't do that if we're nestled into a little neighborhood or something like that. We wouldn't get the exposure. So in that aspect, that's what determines your rent or the price of your building is how many people see this property. So you got a lot of cars going by, your rent's going to be up there. You got a lot of cars going by your business, the building's going to be a little higher priced. There's an advertisement company that advertise above us, and the reason why they picked this building is because of the location. You know what I mean? So that's how you can. That's a little secret to finding out if the building is in a good location. If it has a billboard on top of it, because that means a lot of people will go by there. A lot of people look that way.
So is the rent, what is it? Is it rising?
No. So the first 5 years, it was the same. So it gave us time to, establish ourselves, get things under our belt. Ideally, after the first 5 years, if you're still in business, you're actually making money. So rent goes up. And in the new terms, it goes up every 2 years.
Here's the big question. Last time RJ and I were in here, you mentioned how several of your competitors went out of business. So, what do you think sets Creative Pizza apart and keeps customers coming back?
I think consistency has a lot to do with it. The fact that John and I are the ones here doing it every day, you know that what you're going to get is quality. It's not made by some random high school kid that learned how to make pizzas yesterday, or, someone who's just having a bad day. You never know. Here, it's always going to be him or I making your food. And so that consistency is really key to keeping people. Like, I had someone who's been coming here for the last 5 years, and he said, I've never had a bad pizza from here. So that just, to me, is a testament of our consistency and our quality, and making sure that our customers are happy. We get to know our customers. We've got that family feel where you walk in the door and you get greeted, whether it's your first time in or your 50th time in. We're going to greet you the same way with a smile on our face. We're excited to see you. We want to make food for you. It's not, oh, another customer. I have to do work. No one wants that feeling when you walk in somewhere.
So I think what set us apart from our competitors or used to be competitors we are owner-operator. It saves a lot on labor because, like I said, sweat equity. We put a lot of sweat equity in. And we source a lot of our toppings locally. So that helps on our food costs. So everything is fresh. So like no preservatives, nothing like that. So you can eat our pizza every day and not feel bad about it. Like, we know the customer and we know how they like their pizza. And we don't put out a pizza that we wouldn't eat. Like, yes, I would love to pump out 1 million pizzas a day. But what we do in a small volume, we get 100 pizzas right instead of getting only 70 pizzas right. We get every pizza right every time, just the way you like it.
And if it's not, we'll remake it.
And it's just a different type of feel of a pizza restaurant. A lot of our customers come back and tell us that we spoiled them, and they can't go nowhere else because they're truly spoiled when they come here, and we take pride in that, definitely.
One of the things that I found out from one of your loyal customers, Ra, aka Father Torch, is that you offer unlimited veggies. So I just want to know a little bit more about the decision to offer that, and how does that play into some of your loyal clientele who are vegetarian?
So before we had this, I would order pizza with my mom, and she would get a small veggie pizza, like 4 or 5 veggies maybe. Small pizza, barely enough for one person. And we would get a large pepperoni and extra cheese, and our 2 pizzas cost the same amount. And that was absurd to me. So I found a way to make it so that you don't have to worry about that. Like, a handful of mushrooms should not cost $3 to put on a pizza. Like, it's even with today's ridiculous, crazy prices in the economy, like, there's ways to make it work so that that's not necessary. And we, like John said, we go to the public market. We get a lot of stuff sourced locally. So we're able to pass that savings on to the customer so we can give them all the veggies they could possibly want, which opens up the realm of possibilities. If you want to try something on a pizza you've never tried before, you're not like, oh, I have to spend $3 to put that on and then I might not like it. No one wants that. So you can throw it just on one piece if you want, and it's not going to cost you any extra. Or you could put it on the whole pizza if you want. It's not going to cost you any extra. Some people come in and they literally go, give me everything, like all of the veggies. They might take 1 or 2 off that, because there's always something somebody doesn't like. But ideally, like 5 toppings on a pizza gets it in a good spot. Otherwise, you might have to cook it a little extra time. But you can put every single veggie on and not feel bad about it. Like, we definitely have had plenty of people. We have a lot of vegetarian, vegan customers who are just so grateful to have options and not have to pay, like, take out a loan to get a pizza. Like,
so you mentioned that your ink was barely dry when COVID hit. So what sort of pivots did you have to make, or did you consider making, as far as the takeout options or curbside delivery or online, and adapting to apps or websites, and just kind of take us through that whole process?
I told the real story.
Which one?
Yeah, 2020. The COVID hit around March? Yeah, they canceled the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Is that something that you look forward to?
Yeah, it's a lot of people walking and a lot of business. And we weren't considered an essential business, but the liquor store next door was. Yeah. So it kind of, put a little salty feeling in me, because we, like you said, the ink didn't even dry yet, and I couldn't open my shop, but the liquor store could be open.
Wasn't McDonald's open?
Yeah. Yeah, we just weren't sure if we were going to be considered essential, because it's, little mom and pop pizza shop. But everything else was closed. So, Walmart was closed, like, at least for a little while. Not for very long, but, we just didn't know. There was so much uncertainty around it. They had the curfew, the 8 o'clock curfew, so we had to adjust our hours for that. So we could be home before the curfew hit, whatever that, for that, like, week that it was in place. And then after that, we just kind of kept it, because after 8 o'clock, people were used to just being home. And I think we were like that for a solid year before we started to expand again. And, like, we're comfortable expanding the later hours again. Yeah. The bills never stopped coming.
The bills never stopped, and we had to be closed. I think we closed out for like a week or 2. And then we decided to open up. We said some pizza's better than no pizza. And we started doing, I think it was about 7 o'clock we started closing down. About 7 o'clock. We were getting our butts kicked for a while. It was just, we were trying to figure it out. Just me and her. With the cleaning, paying bills, getting certain products. Got a, 2-year-old, 1-year-old, all that. All happening at once. It was crazy. It was a crazy time. But we figured it out. We kept, like I said, Katelyn's a grinder. I'm the same way. That's all I know how I do is just work and keep my head down and just keep going. And hopefully I'll be in the right position. And that's exactly what we did. We just kept working day in and day out.
So with COVID, we were already kind of set up with Grubhub, DoorDash, Uber. So we were really kind of perfectly designed for a COVID business. You're in and out in 10 minutes tops. So having people come into the store wasn't a big deal. Most people were spread out enough where there was never like a whole group of people in here at once unless they came in together. So they didn't mind. And still, we're getting you in and out super fast. If you called ahead or placed your order online, you could have it ready to go. You come in, you grab it, you go. But there were a lot of people who still just like wanted to see the process of it. So they were coming through just, you wear your mask, you keep your 6 feet, and you're welcome to keep coming in. There were some people who at one point weren't happy with the way we were operating, even though we had masks and we're still, we're hand washing all the right things, but there's always someone who's going to have a problem. We stood too close to one another at some point or something like.
Because we woke up together.
Right, like we are in each other's bubble. It's fine. But there's always something. Can't please everybody, or else we would have 5-star ratings right now. We're only 4.9 because there's always that someone.
As you mentioned, post-pandemic, a lot of people are still holding on to some of those tendencies of maybe I'm not out a lot past 8 or 9 o'clock. Maybe I don't have to get in my car and drive somewhere to get pizza, and I'm relying on these apps and whatnot. So it sounds like you guys caught the vision, kept up with the vision. I'm wondering what the downfalls are, if any, of signing up with something like a Grubhub, because I know as a user, it cost me a lot more for the product, not just for the delivery fee, but it does cost me more for whatever sandwich I'm ordering, rather if I would have just went there myself to get it, but I'm paying for that convenience. So I'm just wondering from the business side, are there additional costs that you're incurring, coupons? Like, what do you have to do to kind of make sure you're having eyes on you? I know that feature page is very important to people. So just talk to a little bit more about that, not just from the perspective of COVID, but as of 2025.
So the Grubhubs and the DoorDash, they're kind of a double-edged sword. So they're great in the fact that it takes away a lot of the stress of having to find a driver, and pay extra insurances to have a driver in the store, just waiting for orders to come in. If there's an issue with the order, they can contact Grubhub customer service rather than calling me in the middle of my dinner service. Stuff like that is definitely helpful, but they do take a good percentage of the sales, which is why it costs more for you ultimately, because they're trying to still maintain what little profit that they are getting off of that, rather than giving the entire profit to Grubhub, basically. So there's definitely a balance there where you have to charge a little bit more online to be able to make it profitable. But people are willing to pay that convenience fee, as we've been shown. I mean, our online sales are just as good as our in-store sales most days. So, people are willing to do that, and it's worth it for both sides at the end of the day.
What are your goals here in the future? Is it to open more shops? Is it to double revenue? What is a business goal here moving forward?
Short term, just becoming more of an asset to the community. Just keep building our network and just being more just ingrained into Rochester, pretty much. It's like when you hear pizza in Rochester, you think of us. We gave pizzas out to the Clean Suite. We sponsored photography for the kids because she's a photography major. So we
Flower City Center.
I play rugby. We sponsored a rugby event for the female rugby team here in Rochester. That's what I mean by being in the community.
We're supporting East High.
So we're supporting East High.
Their football.
Football, yeah. So when you see our name, you're gonna think Rochester. You're gonna think good pizza, Rochester.
We're bringing back the We want to bring back that mom and pop shop mentality where like we're the spot people want to go to after their games, or like bring the whole team afterwards for pizza. Because you won, because you lost, because you fought really hard. It doesn't matter why. Just come and get some pizza afterwards. We want to be that spot.
That's my goal for the next year.
I just want to applaud you guys for recognizing that community piece, because people have to eat every day and they have a million choices. But if they know that you're the one that supports their team or their school or their dreams, then they're more likely to come and spend money with you. And so I think that is one of my key takeaways from this episode, as well as businesses forget about the community engagement. We want so much from the community. Come support and buy and shop and this and that. But what are we doing to give back? So I think that's a major key.
And I'm not doing it just for the tax break.
She says she's not doing it just for the tax break. Although that could be beneficial as well. But that's not the key.
Right.
That's not the key.
That's not why we do it.
Long-term goal, have a food truck so I could pull up on you. I come to your wedding, the food truck rodeo, concerts. I like fresh, and like you said, we got food for everybody. So we could literally anywhere. We could go anywhere. Like we got vegan food, whatever, anything you want, and customize it to that person, no matter where you at.
Thinking about that food truck. So I'm curious, because you mentioned the 800-degree oven that you have here at Create a Pizza. How would that work on a food truck? Would you have to pre-make all of the dough, or how does that work?
So they make this type of oven in multiple different sizes. So we could get one that's slightly smaller, would fit on a trailer, so we'd be able to take it with us wherever we went and still get that good quality, fast-fired, delicious brick oven pizza. Yeah, so we've definitely been approached by a couple people about trying to do different events, with whether it's a wedding or a graduation party, stuff like that. So we know there's a want for it, but I can't just strap that oven up and take it anywhere right now. So eventually I would love to do that. And honestly, this overhead is, it's crazy. The price keeps going up. RG&E keeps going up. Those are two of the biggest things that are probably shutting down small businesses, because they're going up and everything's going up. But to maintain our customers, to keep coming back, we have to keep prices where they can afford it. And so I can't raise my prices $5 to be able to compensate for RG&E tripling over the last 3 years. That's what's going to kill a small business. So a food truck, we eliminate a lot of those problems, and we can keep doing what we love and bringing great food to great people.
Do you have a hashtag or a social that maybe we could tag you on?
Yep, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if you still have it. Create Pizza 585 on Instagram. Create a Pizza 585 on Facebook. Website is createapizzamenu.com.
That was such a powerful conversation with Katelyn and John from Create a Pizza. If you're dreaming of opening your own restaurant or trying to keep your brick and mortar business going, here are a few takeaways worth remembering. First, sweat equity can go a lot further than startup capital. Katelyn didn't have funding, but she had experience, work ethic, and the right people around her, and that opened doors. Second, location and zoning laws matter. A great space on the outside might not be usable for what you want to do. Do your homework before signing anything. Third, consistency wins. Katelyn and John make every pizza themselves. That owner-operator model is what keeps their customers loyal and sets them apart from competitors. And finally, community engagement is a strategy, not just a nice gesture. Supporting local schools and events have helped them build deep, lasting relationships with their customers. But don't forget the forewarnings. You might not see a paycheck for a long time. Delivery apps cut into your profit, so plan accordingly. And unexpected costs will pop up, so be ready to pivot fast. If this episode helped you see what it really takes to build a restaurant business, be sure to follow Elevating Enterprise Podcast and share it with someone who's ready to turn hustle into ownership. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and keep elevating. Because success isn't overnight, it's strategic.